Hey everybody, good to see you. I'm happy to see that we already have questions in the chat. It is so nice to be back here on YouTube Live, and I just realized that my computer's not plugged in, so let me do that before we lose battery power. In the meantime, we have Walt here as the moderator, our new moderator here, and unfortunately, our moderator from the previous 4 years, Tech Lords, sadly passed away from cancer last year. So rest in peace, Tech Lords. And it's been a while since I've done a live stream. So this is actually the first live stream of the year. So probably lots of new names, lots of new faces here today. And I'm looking forward to chatting with all of you. So let me know in the chat as I get my computer charger where you're from, how long have you been a subscriber to my channel, and what is your question for me today. There's no specific theme, it's just kind of an ask me anything because we have some catching up to do. So be right back. Okay, we're good. Better than the Oscars. That's funny, surreal. Okay, let's go into the chat here. I keep hitting the table, so I'll try not to make it very shaky. We've got lots of new and old faces here today. I already have some questions here. If you have a question, write a Q and then a colon next to your question, and we will get started. And thank you again, Walt, for moderating. Walt is probably my number 2 subscriber, probably one of my first 10 subscribers ever. Definitely up there. We've got some clients here. Michael Jessup is here. We got James, Mark, Gerardo coming in from Guadalajara, Surreal from Germany. And so I'll just do a quick intro in case you don't know me that well, or maybe you're a new subscriber. My name is Kristin, otherwise known as Traveling with Kristin. And spoiler alert, I haven't been doing that much traveling lately since, many people haven't during the pandemic. But prior to the pandemic, I had been traveling for almost 20 years, living in different countries, and started this YouTube channel in 2017, 2018, to just help share all of the things I had learned at that point in 15 years of living abroad. So I kept seeing all of these outdated blogs on the internet and videos that had inaccurate information, and I just thought, why don't I share what I know, because I've been to 60, at that time, maybe 50 countries, and I had helped more than 1,000 people relocate overseas. So hence I started this channel. And if you saw my video earlier, a couple months ago, about why I left YouTube, why I just inexplicably disappeared from YouTube, I answered it in that video. But the biggest project that I've been working on all year is my first book, which is called Digital Nomads for Dummies. So those yellow and black dummies books that I'm sure all of us have read at least one. I remember reading them back in high school and college, especially whenever I needed to learn a topic quickly, or maybe cram for a test, or get some extra info on a topic. And I'm very happy to announce that I have written my first book, and it will be Digital Nomads for Dummies. So it's coming out next month. And I don't know if any of you have ever written a book, but it's really hard. It's a lot of work. And so I shifted my focus to writing and my podcast, Badass Digital Nomads, kind of away from YouTube for a little while, which was only supposed to be temporarily for a couple weeks, or maybe a month or so, but it kind of snowballed into 6 months. And another thing that I've been doing is helping people relocate to different countries. I've been doing this one-on-one for 12 years or so now, but I now have a group coaching program that over 30 people have gone through called Ready to Relocate, and it is to help you move to another country within the next few months to a year. So we have some people that are planning on moving out of the country in the next 2 years, 3 years, and they just want to get kind of a preview of what they need to know about how to plan their relocation, like what are all of the steps in a relocation, where do you start, what do you do in what order, everything from planning to packing to housing, insurance, all of that great stuff. So if you would like to, let's see if I can do a tab here. If you would like to apply, then I will drop the link here. And it is travelingwithkristin.com/apply. So that makes it really easy. So apply if you are definitely planning on moving abroad in the next couple years and you just want a little bit of help and guidance on how to do it. So how do here we go. Apply for ready to relocate. It's very bouncy on my desk. And then for Digital Nomads for Dummies, just search it online and you'll find every website like Amazon and Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, all that great stuff. And lots of people have been asking, will there be an ebook? The answer is yes. And I don't know if it's available for pre-order, but it is. It will be coming out this year. And then there will also be an audiobook that will come out later this year. That's not recorded yet. So let's get into the questions. And we have about an hour, and then I'll be hopping over into a private Zoom call with my Patreon patrons. So you can join us for the after party over at patreon.com/travelingwithkristin. And let's hop over into the chat. All right. Oh, hi, Get a Minus. Lots of people who I know. So the first question, I can't see the chat very well. There we go. Nope. Where did it go? I'll use eCam. Okay. This is from Extreme, and they say, why? Oh, I can put it on. I think I can. Add to broadcast. There we go. Why do you think there's a regression in remote or hybrid working? Oh, it's too big. There. Okay. The pandemic taught us how to be creative digital nomads. Sadly, some corporations are not buying in. I think that I did a video on the Great Resignation. So, Walt, maybe you can find that. It's on my YouTube channel. It's like the Great Resignation, why everyone's quitting their jobs. And I think that any sort of resistance or pause resistance to hybrid working is just temporary. I remember seeing recently that President Biden said something about like, we have to get people back to work, back to the office, right? Like as if we can't work from anywhere all of a sudden. He wanted people back in cities, and I felt such compassion for him in that moment because he just comes from a different generation and he just doesn't get it, and has nothing to do with politics whatsoever. It's just seeing like this older generation of managers, leaders, CEOs, presidents, and not everybody, but there's definitely a segment of people that still are living in la la land and think that, you know, at the end of the pandemic that they can just, put everything back how it was and revert everything to the former way of working. And I don't even want to call it the traditional way of working, because working like 9 to 5 in an office is only something that we've done for about 100 years. Maybe if you consider factories, like maybe a little bit longer than that. But I think that the most natural way to work is wherever you are, wherever you live, being entrepreneurial, being an independent contractor. And so I think that if people are resistant to it, and some companies are resistant to it, that's up to them. And I wrote about this like 2 years ago or more on Medium, that it will actually I wrote about it in 2019, that it's only a matter of time before that balance of power tips to the side of remote first companies and people themselves who have the decision of whether or not you want to work for a company as an employee or work for yourself. And so that's a whole nother topic. But yeah, I think it's just temporary, and eventually there will be, I mean, there is already a critical mass basically. So we might see like a little pause of companies saying like, yeah, we're going to go back to the office, and then that's fine. Then that's why everyone's quitting. And he also asked if I post my digital nomad tips on LinkedIn because it would bring a great grassroots movement of employers and corporate professionals. And the answer is I used to post on LinkedIn, but you just can't be everywhere, or I don't want to be everywhere. I'm already on so many platforms with YouTube and my podcast and Facebook and Instagram. My Facebook group, Badass Digital Nomads, there's almost 6,000 people in that group. And so, yeah, I want to help people through content, but I don't want to just always be keeping up with social media. And I think that being on Twitter, being on LinkedIn, being on all of these platforms is a job in itself. And so I just want to pick the ones that I like the most. So just funny because I've been on Twitter since the beginning, like the very beginning. I want to say 2005, something like that. And I just never was very active. Hi, Jose from Peru. Suriel, Walt. Marcus is here. James, Bruno from Rio de Janeiro. Mark, James has been here for 4 months. Mark has a question, is Switzerland in the Schengen zone? And actually, I don't know if it's officially a Schengen country or if it's included in the Schengen zone. So it does count towards your days in the Schengen area. But there's basically countries that are not in the EU, but in the Schengen, vice versa. I actually have a video on the Schengen zone too, but I think there's 26 or 27 Schengen countries. But if you go to Switzerland, I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, that it counts against your Schengen days. Suriel, did you have any questions? Moving to Barcelona. Hi, Luis. Yusuf from Morocco is here. Okay, Jay has a question about Portugal. Is it over-discovered? Is it overrun with American retirees and digital nomads, Lisbon especially? I think it's a subjective question. I actually answered a question similar to this on Quora a few years ago that had to do with the gentrification of destinations by digital nomads. And at the time, which was 2018 or 2019, there wasn't a very significant economic impact of digital nomads in Portugal and in Bali and in some of these places where people were saying like, oh, it's too crowded or there's too many foreigners. There was, I mean, when you compare it to the economic impact of tourism in general. So if I recall correctly, I think that the economic impact that digital nomads and expats had was like 1 or 2% of the impact that tourists had and vacationers. So I don't think that it's necessarily overcrowded with retirees and digital nomads. I just saw a video, I believe it was by CNBC, and they had a statistic that I think there were 5,000 or 7,000 US citizens who had relocated to Portugal in the past year. So that's not that many when you look at the context of how many tourism arrivals are coming into the country, which could be in the millions. I don't have the exact stats for that. But it doesn't mean that it's not having an effect on housing prices and the cost of living going up, because there's only so much inventory, and when people are coming from other places with like a higher purchasing power, they are less what's the word I'm looking for? Like they're more price inelastic when it comes to renting. And so that has for years been putting some upward pressure on the housing market there in Lisbon and probably in some of the more popular areas of Portugal. So I'm sure the locals would also have something to say about that. And you guys have seen my living in Portugal videos, and yeah, the cost of living is higher than I had expected, and that's why I love Portugal, but and I love Bali, I love Bangkok, Chiang Mai, like a lot of the popular destinations, but I also like to find places that are off the beaten path and go to places that are not necessarily in like the top 10 of international living or Lonely Planet, but that's just me. Eric from Amsterdam is here, and Aiden is here. Thank you, Aiden. He says Kristin's new book is coming out soon. Get it on Amazon. You guys, the book is #1 on Amazon in business travel in new releases. So not even out yet, and it's already #1. So thank you so much. Lynn is here from North Carolina. Anthony asking if I'm going back to LA. I probably will go back to LA once this year, sometime before September or October, because my family lives there, friends live there, and I'm moving back to Europe in the fall. So I will be visiting family and friends before I leave the country. So that's one of the things that I like to do and that I recommend to people before you go abroad, is to kind of make your trip around and visit friends and family who you might not see again for a while. So last year I did a meetup in person in LA, so maybe I could do that again this year. We will have to see. Stay tuned. And you can also subscribe to my email list for updates at travelingwithkristin.com/subscribe. I do a weekly email over there too. Claire from Port Charlotte is here. Lucas from Switzerland. Marcus says, missed you at Nomad Base in Bansko. Thank you, Marcus. I missed you guys too. I was in the middle of my book deadline, so all I could do was just eat, sleep, and write this book and edit this book. And I don't know how people like with kids and other jobs write books and do everything at the same time. I have a lot of respect for people like Ryan Holiday, who do daily emails, daily podcasts, daily YouTube videos, I think, and also have a wife and kids in a bookstore and like a marketing company and write at least one book per year. So those people are superheroes. Michelle is living in Bansko, Bulgaria for the summer. So Bansko is such a small town. Michelle, let us know. Anyone who's in Bansko right now, let us know what the rent prices are right now, because a few years ago I did this video on €150 per month apartment in Bansko, but because Bansko is such a small village in Bulgaria, I think that there's like a disproportionate amount of impact on the housing prices with a small amount of digital nomads compared to a place like Lisbon. So I think that it's possible that the prices could have gone up significantly in the past few years, because even if there's a few hundred digital nomads there or 1,000 digital nomads there, that could be 10% of the population or more. So that could definitely affect the prices. Mike has a question. We just accomplished FIRE. Congratulations. And our first destination is Thailand for 60 days. You have heavily influenced our lives, so thank you. Thank you. My next destination is somewhere in Europe, and I don't know exactly where yet. I've been considering a few different places. I kind of want to go to Portugal for a web summit. I want to go surfing. I'm living in Miami right now. I want to go back to Eastern Europe. Oh, I'm going to Istanbul, Turkey next week, so that will be very exciting. I'll be there on my birthday with the Safety Wing team. Cheyenne has a question. Let me know also, Walt, if we have any super chats, because sometimes I miss those. Okay. Cheyenne's question, she's asking how I'm feeling. Oh yeah, I talked about burnout in my other video. I'm feeling really good. Personal information, if anyone is interested. So when I started writing my book, I started in January, like full-time writing it, and I quickly discovered like the amount of mental energy that it takes. And so I decided to quit drinking while I was writing my book. And that was like 4 or 5 months ago. And I just never started drinking again. So I'm feeling great just based on that alone. Like never drinking alcohol. I always have a lot of energy, drinking water instead. And so it's a little bit, weird, because I used to love wine and like going to Paris and like drinking a glass of wine or whatever. So we'll see how it goes when I'm traveling. But for now, I'm just focusing on health and sleep and going for walks and working out a lot and just enjoying the lifestyle in Miami, which is really similar to California, where there's a lot of there's the beaches, there's lots of gyms, there's lots of exercise classes, and lots of healthy food around, although it's expensive. And then Panama is different from Costa Rica in terms of real estate in that it's more affordable. As far as the relocating logistics, it's pretty similar, but there are some easier, debatedly residency categories in Panama, but they're both quite similar. They both have similar climates with like all different kinds of microclimates. The housing, I don't know in the past year or so, but the cost of living in Panama is significantly lower than Costa Rica. I would say at least $1,000 per month less, maybe even $2,000 a month. Like it could be half the price of living in Costa Rica. Just depends on where you're living. And then with relocating logistics, they do have some lower taxes on imports and things like cars and electronics. So you could save money if you're shipping stuff too. Aiden's asking if most people are leaving the U.S., but it's hard to say because we don't have any statistics on that. The U.S. government doesn't track how many people leave the U.S., or they have an idea of how many people are living abroad from how many people file their tax returns. But for the most part, no one knows how many expats there are because there's no sort of like exit survey of if you're leaving and how long you're leaving. And then at one point, have you left? Like, is it after 1 month? Is it after 1 year? Is it after 10 years? So we don't know. Nobody knows. I think there could be, I don't know, there could be hundreds of thousands of people. There could be millions of people. But the official estimate is not that many. Hi, Deanna. She asks, thank you for the congratulations and thank you for subscribing to the channel. Is there any place I didn't live yet that I would have liked to? There's a lot of places. I don't know if, like, it's hard to say even what is technically living somewhere or just visiting or just passing through. But there's still quite a few countries in Europe that I haven't been to. Someone mentioned Switzerland before. I haven't been to Switzerland. I haven't been to Slovenia. So I'd like to go there perhaps this summer or this fall. I also have been wanting to go to Latvia. When I was in Lithuania, I wanted to go and I was super close. Haven't been to Denmark. Would like to explore more of Finland. And then there's also, in every continent in the world, like there's so much. I have barely been to Africa at all. I've only been to Cape Verde. So I had a ticket once to go to South Africa for a few months, but I got injured snowboarding in Japan and I couldn't go. So I still want to spend a few months in South Africa and travel around Africa, but I think it's a place where I'd like to go for maybe a year and just go around to different countries and just do like a slow travel thing. And as well in Asia, everyone seems to really love Singapore, and I would like to see what the lifestyle is like there. And also Vietnam. And I've been to Thailand, but never made it to Vietnam or Laos, so I'd like to go there. But there's a lot of Asia that I haven't been to, and Western Australia. I've spent a lot of time on Eastern Australia, but not Western. Suriel has questions. She's moving to Barcelona. Any hot tips for that city? Trying to think of anywhere that I really liked to go. I mean, when I was there, I've only been there as a tourist a few times, so I've done all of the touristy things. Like, I've explored the whole city, like Gaudi's cathedral, the park, the art galleries, the museums. Drank a lot of sangria when I was there. I really like their white sangria de cava, and spent a lot of time at the beach. I think the W is really nice on the beach. You can get like a really nice view of the coastline, so that's a good place to go and have a drink. And there's also, what is the cable car? That's really cool as well, to get a view of the city there. And then I would also recommend living a little bit outside of the center, because the center can be really expensive, really crowded, really loud, really touristy, and the public transportation is really, really good. So you can just, live near a metro stop that's a little bit out of the center, and you can save a lot of money on rent, and you can be like 10 minutes from the city center. So I don't know if you have a house yet, but that's what I would recommend. Angel is here. Got some marriage proposals. Sean's asking about property ownership in different places. I mostly worked in real estate in Costa Rica and Nicaragua, and a little bit in Panama. So I'm not aware of all of the laws in each country, but the biggest thing to look into is whether or not property is titled or leasehold. So in some cases, foreigners or even locals sometimes can only rent or lease the property, and sometimes it's for 100 years or sometimes it's less. So you always want to make sure that you can actually get title to the property, unless you just want to lease the property. But in Costa Rica and Nicaragua, for example, there's very little titled beachfront property. Claire's asking if I can recommend any companies for travel insurance, and yes, I can. I use Safety Wing the most, but I just did a podcast on travel insurance specifically. So let me look into, I've been an affiliate or a referral partner of Safety Wing for a really long time, because they have the cheapest insurance that I've found, and so I really like to use them and recommend them. I just used it for my trip to Montreal, and I will be using it for my trip to Istanbul. So I'll go ahead and post my insurance link here. And the podcast that I just did on travel insurance that explains travel, medical, and health insurance. So there's a difference between the different types of insurance. I'll put that here too. Insurance podcast. And there you go. Did you guys know that I had a podcast? Who listens to the podcast? I'm always curious to hear, because it's not called Traveling with Kristin. I have Traveling with Kristin, the YouTube channel, and then the podcast is called Badass Digital Nomads. So maybe I should have the same name for branding purposes. But the podcast has been coming out every week for 3 years, and it's every Tuesday morning. I've missed a couple weeks, but usually every Tuesday. And We just did episode 160, 161, 162, or somewhere around there, and just found out about 2 weeks ago that it's ranked in the top 1% of podcasts in the world. So that is amazing, because there's like 3 million podcasts. And Adrian's asking about dating for digital nomads too. And dun, 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 I also have a podcast about dating as a digital nomad. There's like topics or tags at the top. I don't know if I have a dating tag, but you can also search in the bar. So I'll give you guys a quick answer, and then if you want to hear like an hour-long episode, this is from February. Dating as a digital nomad: the good, the bad, and the ugly. Dating. Oh yeah, it was on Valentine's Day. I knew there was a reason there. So I do answer that in great detail in that podcast. And I don't know if I've ever dated another digital nomad. That's the thing. I suppose I did. I had a boyfriend that we lived together, we traveled together, we worked online. So technically we were both digital nomads. And I do think it's fairly easy to find a nomad significant other if you spend a lot of time hanging out around nomad conferences and co-living spaces and nomad events. So somebody earlier mentioned Bansko Nomad Fest, Nomad Base. So anywhere where there's membership in a community of people that are meeting each other various times throughout the year, and you just start to make friendships with people that are living in all different countries and traveling throughout the year. I think that's the easiest way to meet people, and that was the way that I met like 1,000 digital nomads in 1 year. There's also Nomad Soulmates, where they have a Facebook group. If you just look on Facebook, Nomad Soulmates, you can post about yourself and what you're looking for, and like hundreds of people will comment. So if you're looking for a significant other, yeah, go there. Hi, Ron. Let's see. F Bones is asking if retired expats living in Spain have to pay income tax in both the US and Spain. And I am not a tax advisor or an accountant or a CPA or a financial advisor or anything like that. But just as like generally, US citizens need to file tax returns in the US, and you may be liable for income taxes in Spain depending on what type of residency category or visa that you have and where your income comes from. But you should obviously talk to your accountant about that. And I also have a podcast about that I'll find, because there's usually like, you usually don't have to pay taxes in 2 countries, or there's usually tax credits or tax treaties that you could take advantage of and you know, get that credited back to your US taxes. So I actually have a whole list of tax podcasts here. I think there's maybe, let's see, by category. I can't see. My internet doesn't like to work whenever I'm live streaming at the same time. It's like CPU overload. Yeah, I can't pull it up right now, but if you just go here to badassdigitalnomads.com and go to search, you can just search like tax podcasts. There's actually a category for taxes. And we have qualified people on there. JC has a question on finding and negotiating remote only work. Ooh, that's a big topic. I have a whole 2 or 3 chapters on remote work and remote jobs in my upcoming book, Digital Nomads for Dummies. So I really go into detail there, but like just getting started with remote work, I think it's important to figure out what it is about your job that you like and pursue a specific skill, either whether you're going to be working for yourself and freelancing or whether you're looking for a remote job, is to just start with what you know. You don't need to necessarily learn a totally new skill to be able to work remotely. You just need to break down the skill set that you already have, look at what you like doing, what you don't like doing, and then pursue jobs in the category of things that you like. Because if you're working from home and you need to be really self-motivated, it's important to be doing something that you like doing, and that you can be productive without being in an office. And then I put in there about job fairs, salaries in my book, so definitely check that out. That's why I wrote it, is because I get so many questions about that. Scott from Patreon is here. Hey, Scott. Paulo's asking, why don't I take root or settle down in a specific place? What am I looking for? Paulo, I have been settled here in Miami for quite some time now, although for me, a year is a long time. So I've been here since around the end of February, beginning of March of 2020. I will never forget, because it was like 2 weeks before the pandemic lockdowns started, and I have been based here ever since. So it's been 2.5 years, and for me, that was the longest I've lived in one place. I don't know. I don't know when was the last time I stayed for 2.5 years in one country. So I'm not looking for anything other than what everyone's looking for. I'm looking for a moderate and ideal cost of living. I'm looking for a high quality of life, and with quality of life comes everything that life is about, right? And each destination that you go to, you can kind of adapt that destination to your interests, or vice versa. Like, you can choose a place to go based on your interests. And the actual reason that I originally came to Miami was because for as long as I could remember, I always wanted to learn how to DJ. And so I decided to come here for 3 months at the beginning of 2020 and just spend some time living in one place without moving around, buy some DJ equipment, take some lessons, go to Miami Music Week and learn how to do that. Now, Music Week got canceled, but fast forward 2 years now, and I've had like over 25 DJ gigs here in Miami. So that has been a goal that I accomplished, and I feel like, okay, I came to Miami to slow down. We all definitely slowed down, right? In 2020 to 2021. So check, like, slowed down, learned some new skills, launched a course, wrote a book, like, accomplished some things that I wanted to do here. And now I feel like it's time to move on. And, you know, sometimes when you feel the urge to move to a new place, it might not make sense on paper, like, whatsoever. Like, it doesn't make sense for me to leave. Like, I have a nice apartment. I live across the street from the water. I can walk and bike everywhere. I have friends. Like, there's really nothing wrong. There's no reason to leave. It's just that when you feel like this urge inside that you think it's time to do something different, maybe that's like the hint to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. I'm definitely very comfortable here. I think you have to listen to it. You don't have to, but if you don't listen to your inner voice or whatever it is, then that voice is not gonna stop. Like, it's not gonna go away. And the more that you kind of ignore your intuition and your hunches, and you try to justify why you can't take action or why you have to keep things the same, then that can just cause some other issues and, like, disruption in your mental health, I guess you could say. So I help a lot of people move to different countries, and one of the things that on the application, it asks, like, how long have you been thinking of moving abroad? And a lot of people write for as long as I can remember. And so this is all anecdotal from my personal research, but what that leads me to believe is that people have ideas to do things, whether it's moving to another country, whether it's changing your job, whether it's ending a relationship that's run its course. And we're humans, so we get scared. we don't like change and we hesitate. And then sometimes it can take years, decades, or even a whole lifetime to get the courage to take that step. And so I try to be like a living example and practice what I preach. And when I'm feeling like it's time to move, I just go. So, and remember, you don't have to explain yourself to anyone or justify your decision. You just do what's right for you. Zipo, I don't know how to say your name. Hello. She asks, is it easy to make a living as a digital nomad? And yeah, I would say it's not easy, but it's not any harder. You don't have to work any harder than you probably already work in your job. Whether your job is waiting tables or in construction or working a 9 to 5, like work is work, and work takes energy and work is hard. But working for yourself or working in a remote job and being able to live nomadically, I don't think that it takes more energy or effort or that it's harder. I just think it's a shift in how you spend your time and how you direct that energy. So again, in my book, I have a whole section on how to make a living as a digital nomad. It's Have Laptop, Will Travel, and it gives like a whole part on freelancing, remote jobs, online business. So definitely, I should probably link to my book if I keep talking about it. But I answer so many questions in the book that I am so happy that now I can just send people to the book, and for $29, you can just get all of the answers. I'll send you guys the Amazon link because everyone has Amazon, right? There you go. Más preguntas, more questions. I think I'm really behind in the chat because people are talking about, Lucas said, I don't listen to this old generation. I want to be free. Yeah, I don't like making, like the past in a way predicts the future, but I still don't like making decisions based on the past and based on older generations. Claire says that Elon Musk forced all of his workers to come back to the office, and there's always outliers to bringing people back to the office. Elon is slightly different because Tesla, people want to work there because it's his company, and so not every company will be able to bring people back to the office. So he will just say like, yeah, you don't want to work here, then that's fine, quit. And a lot of people will work there because they want that on their resume, or they want that work experience, they want to learn something. So he's probably one of the few exceptions to like random other companies that are trying to bring people back in the office and people don't have any incentive to go. Thank you, Walt. Oh, Rick says, Kristin, thank you for your content. I watched your channel during the pandemic and it got me through the roughest part. Thank you. You are welcome. And I also have a live stream. If you look, if you go back on my channel, I have a live Q&A playlist. And there is a live stream from the beginning of the pandemic. I think it was in March of 2020, where I just give a lot of tips for people that were affected by the pandemic and maybe needed to change jobs or needed to work from home. And that is on that live streams playlist. Just scroll back to March of 2020, April of 2020, and you'll see live streams about that topic. So if you're still going through some rough patches, check that out. We have Margaret here, GH asking, where am I going to in Europe? And I don't know. I'll figure it out in the next 2 months. I have July 10th. I want to move by September 15th, maybe October, but we'll see. DC is asking if I assist with citizenship by investment process, specifically in St. Kitts. I don't personally do it in each country because I'm not a residency attorney in each country, but we do have partners and referrals in each place where when I relocate people and help with the relocation part and the planning and the housing, then the law firms will do the investment or citizenship by investment or residency process. So you can reach out to us. Walt posted travelingwithkristin.com under /relocation or /apply, and you can get more info on that. Hi, Pi. Anthony says Gabriel Traveler was just in Bansko. I know him. I follow him on Instagram. Jeffrey's moving to Split, Croatia. Any suggestions there? You know, I didn't spend that much time in Split. When I was in Croatia, I spent most of my time on sailboats, which was quite nice. And I remember Split was a nice place. Lots of cafes, lots of co-working spaces, lots of historical sites and things. I remember it was really, really hot, but I was there in the summer. So I didn't spend that much time just hanging out in Split. I would like to be on the boat with the breeze and being in the islands, but it is very popular. They have a really strong digital nomad community, and I recommend checking out Digital Nomads Croatia to get more info on things to do there and people to meet. Okay, so Michelle says that her rent in Bulgaria is only $230 a month, so that's good. That means the rent hasn't gone up that much. Oh, Ryan's here. Hi, Ryan Neely. Ryan was one of my clients when I was relocating poker players to Costa Rica. It was one of my first relocation clients. Thanks, Cheyenne. Jovan is thinking of moving to London in the next 7 to 8 years. Time flies, so it's crazy to look back at what you're doing 7 or 8 years ago. Cool. Jeff also cut out alcohol. Well, you know what I've noticed is it's easy to just kind of go cold turkey. I'm still I think there's 3-4 things that really adversely affect health when it comes to diet. I think it's alcohol, sugar, and really 3 things, and flour, like white refined flour. Oh, I read this book. It's called Sugar Blues. I have a massive bookshelf now with 3 shelves of books I've been reading during the pandemic. Read this book, Sugar Blues, by William Duffy. It's really old. It's kind of a weird book because it was written so long ago, but it really changed my perspective on eating sugar, and it explains how sugar and alcohol are processed the same by the liver. So that was an eye-opener. I'm still addicted to sugar, don't get me wrong, but I'm trying to cut back. Oh, great question from Anthony. As a world traveler, what would you say is the safest country for a young girl to grow up in? Specific area. I'm a dad with 2 daughters, 14 and 12, and want to leave the U.S. ASAP. I would take a look at the Global Peace Index because those are the most peaceful countries in the world. Just off the top of my head, I think Iceland is number 1. Scandinavian countries as well, and countries in Northern Europe are also very safe in general for female solo travelers. The Netherlands is a good option. Any countries where women have equal rights, and I especially like Finland, where they have a female prime minister, countries that have women in leadership positions, where women have equal rights, equal pay, anything like that, I think is a good area. So yeah, I would check out Norway, Finland, Sweden, Denmark, the Netherlands, Iceland. Where else? I mean, there's a lot of countries that are safe for everybody, for women too, but those would probably be the places that come to mind. Also, I've heard that New Zealand is really beautiful and peaceful. I haven't been there though, so I can't speak from experience. Lucas, my book is for everybody. It's written with a lot of examples from people from all over the world. And I used a lot of examples from people I've had on my podcast from different countries, men, women, couples, LGBT couples, all ages, all backgrounds. So I tried to write it as like a global book and not just for US citizens. I have been to Poland. I have some videos on living in Poland as a digital nomad and also in Krakow. So if you just Wrocław, Wrocław as well. So if you Google traveling with Kristin Poland or search that on YouTube, you'll come up with those videos. Kristin asked what ties you to Miami, but I think I just answered that one. Don asked, do I still play poker? I never played poker. I actually am really bad at poker. I just relocated poker players through the website pokerrefugees.com. And I have not lived in Sweden, Anthony. I've just visited there. My cousin used to live there in Stockholm with her boyfriend or fiance. Wait, no, they're married now. Her now husband. They were boyfriend and girlfriend when they lived there, but now they live in London. But they really enjoyed it there. And I've only spent some time in the countryside and in Stockholm, so I don't have that many travel tips for Sweden. But I do like the Vasa Museum, which is like the ship that they dug up out of the mud in the Baltic, and then now it's on display in a museum. They actually built a museum around it, so I recommend checking that out. It's beautiful. Oh, Z is asking which country to move to. Z, I would recommend that you definitely send me a message through travelingwithkristin.com/apply, because my group coaching program, Ready to Relocate, is specifically for people who want to move abroad and don't know where to go. So it's also for people who have a few countries in mind, but probably over half of the people don't know where they're going to move to yet. And we take a whole section of the program is dedicated to figuring out which country would be right for you to move to. And then we get into like cost of living, housing, narrowing it down from a region to a country, to a city, to a neighborhood. So definitely send me a message there through my website or apply for the course. Hobbies Hobo asks, would having an EU passport change where you base yourself? Yes, I am actually applying for Romanian citizenship so I can get an EU passport and then have 2 passports, which is something that is very beneficial. So I'm sure a lot of you guys also watch Nomad Capitalist, where he's always talking about second passports and citizenship. And I am also a fan of that and of flag theory and having options and flexibility in your life. But it does take a commitment to a country, investing in a country, living in a country, applying for residency, applying for citizenship. And until this point in life, I just haven't really needed it. But that is my long-term plan moving forward. Yes, Greg, I definitely want to go to Lake Bled. I actually have a new podcast. Did you guys see my credit cards video from last week? So that couple, Jordan and KT, they're on my podcast. They also give some Slovenia travel tips at the end of the podcast, because Jordan is a professional basketball player and he played for Slovenia in the Olympics. So he's a citizen. Oh my gosh, we're running out of time. And I'm halfway through the comments. So Mary's asking, have I ever walked the Camino de Santiago? Yes, but not the whole thing, just part of it. If you search on YouTube, Traveling with Kristin, Camino de Santiago, you can watch my travel vlog. And it's probably one of my favorite videos. Very, very underrated. Doesn't have that many views because I published it so long ago, but I like that one. It's a nail biter. You'll see what I mean. A cliffhanger. No, not a cliffhanger, a nail biter. There's some drama in there. Paul's here. Oh, Paul, thank you for the postcards. I just got your other ones from San Francisco. I was going to take a photo and send it to you. Well, DJing's going surprisingly well. It's, let me find my link. I don't know if you guys knew that I have a DJ Instagram now. So I will share that in the chat. DJ Instagram. I'll probably start another YouTube channel at some point with the DJing, but one thing at a time. But I'm really liking it. I just started music production classes, and I have homework today to do my first song, make my first track. So I don't know what it's gonna sound like, but oh, what's the best way to make a claim against an airline? That's a good one. I would say if you're in Europe, go through the European Union. They have like a claims process. I don't remember what it's called right now, but if you just search online for that, if it's like the flight was canceled or delayed, you can get reimbursed that way. But if it's like baggage or something, you need to go directly through the airline itself. Ooh, where do you draw the line between expat and digital nomad? I think it's a gray area. It's a line in the sand, if you will, and it's flexible. I think an expat is someone who's planning to move to a country for an extended period of time, like let's say a year maybe, or for the foreseeable future, in which case then it becomes immigrant and not necessarily expat. And digital nomad is usually someone who's just passing through or doesn't have a home base, or it's how you see yourself and how you perceive yourself. Like, do you perceive yourself as a nomad, or do you feel like you're more of a fixed resident? There's no right or wrong answer. Reykjavik as a good place to work remotely. Yes and no. I would say yes in the way that Reykjavik is very quiet, it's very peaceful, it's a good place to work. But no, in the sense that it's cold, it can be dark and have really bad weather in the winter. It's also expensive, and it's I find it difficult to make friends in Iceland, as far as there's not a lot of people. So it's a very low population. Reykjavik has a lot of tourists, so it's like tourists and locals. I don't think there's a very big expat or digital nomad community. I could be wrong. But I like it as a place to go temporarily, but I don't see myself living there long term. But it is nice and convenient. It's very small. It's like one of those cozy cities. Anyone who has questions about becoming a digital nomad, freelancing, starting your online business, and where to start, you can send me a message through travelingwithkristin.com/contact, because I have a lot of resources for you. I also have a course on how to make money online for the first time, and it's also in my book. So we have a lot of ways to help you, and I also do one-on-one consulting. I believe the book will be translated into French. It is already translated into Dutch, and I think many more languages will come after that. I'm sure Spanish will be in there. So I don't know who's translating it, but I'm not in charge of the translation. That would be the publisher. I expect to get back to a nomadic lifestyle of travel in the next 2 months. I just posted the link to the book, but I'll post it again because I think I'm behind on the chat. Oh, it looks like there's a super chat. Oh, wow. I'm really behind. Aurea Films says, will I have another LA meetup? I will go back to LA before I leave the US, and I'll probably have a meetup. Yep. Join my email list at travelingwithkristin.com/subscribe, and then you'll get all the notifications on the meetups. I'm just going to pick some random questions. Thanks, Sundari, for the kind words. I have a podcast on becoming a digital nomad over 50 years old. So just search for that one. Becoming a digital nomad over 50, traveling with Kristin, or Badass Digital Nomads, and you'll find that podcast too. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for all the nice messages. Got over 150 people hanging out here. So many good questions. Sorry we can't get into all of them. We just have an hour today. But if you want to keep the conversation going, then at patreon.com/travelingwithkristin, you can join us over there, and we'll be going into Zoom in just a few minutes. So I'll drop that here. And I'll answer a couple more questions before I go. Sean says death by boredom is a danger in Iceland. There's Sorel Amore. She loves Iceland. She's been there for a long time. She has two YouTube channels. So I think it just depends on what you're in the mood for and what you like. And we have the freedom to be able to choose now, which is great. Ron has a question about traveling during this cancellation pilot shortage. You know, I don't really feel bad for airlines because they make so much money. So whenever they're going through problems, I feel like there's so much at stake that they're going to figure it out and they're going to solve their problem. So I don't usually take that into consideration when making my travel plans. But there's also a risk when traveling that your flight gets canceled for something, and sometimes it's related to staffing, sometimes it's related to weather. So you just got to roll the dice there. And I don't think it would change what I plan, but it's just like when it happens in the moment, those are the times when you want to have travel insurance. It's probably a good idea to check if travel insurance covers strikes. They don't cover a strike that's pre-announced, but they might cover trip interruption or cancellation based on a strike. Rob, I chose Romania over Bulgaria for my citizenship because my grandfather's from there. So I don't have any links in my genealogy to Bulgaria. Is Italy a good place to study abroad? Yes. I actually wanted to study abroad in Italy. I wanted to study in Florence specifically, but I was sent to Costa Rica instead, and hey, it changed my life. So I think it doesn't matter where you study abroad. Usually studying abroad is your first step into living abroad because you're starting so young. And so I don't think it really matters where you go. I think anywhere you move for the first time is going to change your mind. It's going to expand your worldview so much, and it's going to open up your mind to all of the options and all of the places that you can live in the future. So I really don't think you can pick a wrong place to go first. Is Chile more expensive than Mexico? Yes. Chile is one of the most expensive countries in Latin America, and Mexico is, I don't know where it falls in that rank, but it's very very affordable. Steven saw the credit card video. Whoops, wrong one. I recommend that video too. Can we link to that video? It's not getting much love on YouTube, but I think it's I think it's underrated. It's my most recent video. So if you just go to my channel, click on videos, you'll find it. It's travel credit cards, which is something that everybody asks me about. But maybe I made a bad thumbnail or something because no one's watching it. Larry's here. Oh my goodness. Long time no see, Larry. Yeah, I don't care about labels either. I say that being a digital nomad is a mindset. And, you know, I've been everything, I guess. I think labels are things that we do as humans to attribute meaning to something. Because, like, all we're trying to do as humans is figure out what's going on. We're just here, like, what is my purpose in life? How does everything work? Like, how does gravity work? Like, we're just here trying to figure things out. Okay. Let's see, anything else? We have a lot of tax questions, but yeah, check out badassdigitalnomads.com. Click on all episodes, click on tax category. It's like a tag, and you'll find, I think, 5 or 6 episodes about different tax topics. Thank you, Deanna, for pre-ordering the book. Really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for that support of helping it become the #1 business travel book right now on Amazon. And thank you. Oh, Tony can't hear. Hopefully, it looks like my sound is working. Awesome. Well, thank you guys all for tuning in today. It's so good to see you, and keep an eye out for the next live stream and lots of new videos on the way. I've been doing one like every other week, but trying to work back to once per week. Would you guys like to see a travel vlog about Istanbul, Turkey, or would you like to see like a packing video for packing to go to Turkey, or travel tips for Turkey? What kind of Turkey video would you want to see? Andrew says there's a post on Reddit about what to call yourself and as a digital nomad, and the #1 response was homeless person with a laptop. I used to say that I was reinventing what it means to be homeless, but then I felt bad about saying that because I have a lot of compassion for people who are legitimately homeless, and so I didn't want to make light of that situation. So it looks like Walt wants a travel vlog, Suriel wants a travel vlog and a travel tips video, Scott wants a travel vlog, Ron wants a travel vlog, Angelina wants a travel vlog, Pi wants to see the sights of Turkey. Okay, lots of vlog votes. Okay. Picking up what you're putting down here. Istanbul travel vlog it is. Now you guys just have to promise to click on the video when it comes up on YouTube so that you can see it. So I'll be there next week. So it'll probably take like a couple weeks to edit it. So expect a Turkey travel blog coming around in the next 3 to 4 weeks. And see you guys again soon. Thanks for coming. Thanks, Walt, for moderating. And thank you for all of your questions. Bye, guys.